adjust that a bit if you want.
Is that good? Is that better?
Yeah.
I know your camera's there.
Yeah.
I saw the one interview. I always felt bad. The lady, it was right in front of her face.
That's on me too. I should be keeping a better eye on this too. I'm trying to do
Three
a few things. Yeah, exactly. I think that's pretty well it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's do it.
Okay.
So naturally, I like to start things at the beginning. So why don't you tell me where you were born and what life was like for you growing up?
I actually was born in Cambridge, Ontario, and we moved around quite a bit. There's a long story detail. I don't want to talk about that, my growing up, but it wasn't the best. My mom did the best she could for us. My mom is now retired, and she's wonderful. So yeah, I met Jeff when I was 21, and I started working, and I moved in with him, and I immediately started. He was into racehorses, so he owned his own stable, his own farm. I moved in, started helping him with that. So over the years, I took over ownership of the stable just to help it grow a bit. And in 2001, 2002, 2003, what year was it, Jeff? What did you break your back?
Oh, that was 2012.
2012. So just before he broke his back, I was 9 months pregnant, and I woke up from a dream with my second son. Yeah. And it was my grandfather, and he said, you should start selling meats directly to the public. And I was like, that's interesting. Okay, so I told Jeff, and I said, I think we should start raising animals and selling the meat directly to the public. And he's like, how would that even work? And I'm like, I don't know what a farmer's market, like, what do you do with that? Right. I have no idea. Let's figure it out. So I took some time, and by the time my son was 8 months old, I had grown enough chickens and some cows, and we started selling at our local farmer's market in Acton.
Right.
And then I was like, this is great. My mother-in-law was like, this is stupid. She did not believe in it at all.
Yeah.
But so I started that other business. It's Cody's Cows.
Right.
And so first is Maltby Stables, then Cody's Cows. And Cody's Cows, it's been about 15 years now. We've slowly grown. We first started out of a little red trailer doing one farmer's market a week. Then another trailer in our driveway, the carport in our house, the basement in our house. And then we built a new barn. It was supposed to be a chicken barn with a tiny little store in front, and I took over the entire building. And it's a big meat shop now in Acton. So we sell direct to customer, beef, pork, chicken, turkey, eggs. And we go year round, and we raise the animals year round. We have 121 acres. So it's been exciting.
Amazing. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's quite a leap there. You got a lot going on. So
I do.
How life was like growing up.
Oh yeah. I just kept going.
No, beautiful. That's okay. So Jeff is your husband who's here with us today.
Yes.
And, okay. So you met him, and so I guess it was kind of a somewhat lateral move. He already had that kind of that farm experience. He had the stables and everything. And
yeah.
Yeah, and then so it all came to you in a dream from your grandfather. Right?
It did. Yeah.
Incredible. Okay.
Yeah.
So growing up, before you met Jeff, did you have any farm experience or anything like that?
My grandparents had 400 acres in Mildmay. So they actually had a gravel pit in Mildmay. Mm-hmm. So a little bit of farm experience. My grandfather had Charolais cows and all that stuff. So a little bit, yeah.
Okay. And I guess, like, when you say farm, I guess it can vary so much as far as what you're doing on each particular. Like, some people who aren't involved in farming might just think, like,
farming is
that's where you get your
so vast. So
there's
there's cash cropping, so it's just growing wheats and grains for cash, obviously, and then there's vegetable farming, there's animal livestock farming, there's dairy farming, there's chicken farming, turkey farming in the larger scale, and there's no right or wrong to any of the farming. The planet needs food, and I think all farmers are essential to our society as a whole.
Right. Yeah. No, absolutely. Yeah. So that's great what you guys are doing. That's fantastic. So bridging the gap a bit, did you do any post-secondary, or did you have any other work experience kind of before you met Jeff and things kind of took off there? Or
I did some University of Guelph courses on equine reproduction and some classes just in farming in general, just through the University of Guelph. As far as other specialized education, not really, just...
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. This was kind of always your calling, it seems
Yeah,
like.
yeah. Just kind of went that way.
Right. No, that's great.
Yeah.
So you mentioned Cody's Cows and then Maltby Stables, and then there's a couple other organizations that you own as well.
Yeah. So about 5 years ago, I was just thinking what we could do for our second son, because I'm like, I have a business named after my first son. What's my second son? He's going to want a business named after him. So I started Logan's Lumber. And so because Logan really likes doing physical work, so we have a lot of trees. He could sell firewood. He thought that was great. So, and that business is growing and going in different ways now too. So it's really exciting. That one is, we are planning on not just sawing wood down for firewood or planks of wood for 2x4s and things like that, but also we're exploring the opportunity of potentially doing some environmental reporting for, like, doing what is that word? Forest management plans. Yes, sorry, I've just blanked out there. Yeah,
no
so
worries.
Forestry management plans, because they're super important to the environment. So.
Right. Yeah.
So that'll branch out in probably next year, actually.
Right. Beautiful. Yeah. Obviously, you like to keep busy, eh? Like
I don't like to apparently stay still very long.
Yeah. No, that's incredible. Between 4 companies and 4 kids. So, are all your companies are kind of based or located in Acton, or are you kind of?
They're all in Acton currently. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we're all based in Acton. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Beautiful.
Farm.
So, what would you say life is like outside? I mean, if you have time outside of the 4 things you're doing, the 4 kids you're raising, if you happen to give yourself a day off, what are you doing?
Going to Disney.
Yeah.
Or going, yeah, that's about it. We go to Disney, go on vacation. That's our time off. We don't really take a day off to go. Like going to see a movie for us with 4 kids. We just did it last week and it was over $350.
Right. Yeah.
So that's why spend $350 on that? I could buy 3 plane tickets to Florida for that. So
right.
Why?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
It's just how you spend your money, right? Like, yeah, we don't have hobbies outside of working. There's no time for that.
Yeah. Yeah. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
I feel like you definitely have like a different mindset than most. Like when as you each have like another kid, it's like, okay, what's the next company that I'm going to be able to pass down? Which I think is great. Very kind of entrepreneurial. Sorry.
Yeah.
Kind of a mindset there.
Yeah.
Where do you think that kind of comes from? Like, would you say maybe from your grandparents having their farm, or
it could be my grandparents? Yeah. It just things come to me. I'll be sitting there and an idea pops into my head and says, "You should do this, and this is the way it should go." So that's kind of, I just follow that, and I research it. I do quite a bit of research or some schooling around that. So now I've done a lot. I've done some micro college courses through Holland College and through the government of Alberta to do my next venture. So that's very exciting. So
right on. Okay.
Yeah.
And is that next venture a secret? Can we expand on that? Or?
No. Yeah. It's called Earth Credit Canada.
Okay.
It's fully incorporated within Canada. We have plans to actually take that one globally.
Okay.
And it's environmental reporting.
Okay.
So it's we can go into a company or business and tell you what your environmental footprint is. So your carbon and your greenhouse gases. We can give you a decarbonization plan and tell you how to become net zero.
All right.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Okay.
So it's super exciting.
Yeah. No, that's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah,
Obviously, it's something that a lot of people are looking for right now too. It's kind of like the next step, and naturally,
It is, and it's super important, and it's really eye-opening when you start looking at the real information in and behind it. It's Canada's 30 years behind the rest of the world.
Oh wow!
And a lot of people, and it's hard in Canada because you run up against people are climate change, this, that, and we don't need to do that. We have so many trees in Canada, but the problem is we don't track what your business carbon footprint is to know that your business actually creates more carbon than you know. And not just carbon, but your greenhouse gases in general, right? So
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
So just giving businesses the opportunity to kind of really capture and see what they're doing.
well, it's important for the businesses to know like what it's doing to the rest of the world, right?
Right.
So
Yeah, for sure. So between your 4 companies, how big of a, I guess, would you say like a team that you have under you? Like, I guess there would be different size operations between them, but
yeah. So for the stable, we still have 4 people.
Okay.
For Cody's cows, it goes up and down. So Jeff and I really run Cody's cows together, and then our son does the farm work, and my parents work with us in the summer when we're busier with the farmers markets.
right.
Logan's lumber is about 4 people, and then Earth Credit Canada is about 6 people right now. So,
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
And are we still, like, what's next for, I mean, I guess we could break down each one or just,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I mean, are we looking to kind of grow these companies still, or
Yeah,
are we looking to expand, or?
I think, well, Cody's cows, I really just like the meat aspect being small. I don't want to grow much bigger than where we are, because if we do that, then we lose control of certain things, like in our meat industry. And I'm not saying that industrialized meat is bad, because there's a place for it. Obviously, my farm can't grow enough chickens for everyone in Canada, but I like the smallness of that. As far as the stable, we're happy with that. Logan's Lumber will grow, being able to do those forestry management plans. And Earth Credit Canada, I anticipate to be very large.
Right.
Well, I hope it will be large. That's my goal.
Yeah.
I plan on being a billionaire in 5 years. That's my goal, and I'm a year in.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. Super ambitious.
Yeah.
That's funny because I feel like some people kind of, I don't want to say frown upon that, but like for some reason, I think some people think like the pursuit of money is like a vain or silly thing. But I mean, I think like if there's no losers in the scenario, what you're doing is you're genuinely trying to help people, and
I'm trying to help people.
Yeah.
I'm trying to help. Like, I employ enough people that they're obviously
right
in a good job, but if we can help the environment and help society in general, it's all good. So, I actually just thought of something. My time off, we do volunteer for the Optimist Club of Halton Hills.
Okay.
And I sit on the board there, and we help them quite a bit. So I call bingo for them, or help them with some of their other charity events that they do. So that's our fun night out.
Right. There you go. Yeah. Well, that's amazing. Yeah. In all the spare time that you have.
Yeah. But it's a break.
Right.
Like when I'm calling bingo, I always tell all the bingo players, this is my night away from my children. Please, let's make it fun.
There you go.
Yeah.
So going back to your kids, what is their age range?
17 is my oldest son. 14 is another son. And then I have a 12 and a 10-year-old daughter.
Okay.
So 2 girls. 2 boys and 2 girls.
Right. Okay. So
Yeah.
10 up to 17.
Yeah.
Okay. And are they all somewhat are they kind of helping out? With a lot of things you guys
50-50.
are doing? Yeah.
I mean, they're kids, right? So
Right.
my 17-year-old's very helpful, very into the farming stuff. The 14-year-old will do stuff under duress.
Yeah. Okay.
A little pressure applied. You will lose your phone or devices if you don't.
Right.
The 2 girls are still a little young, but they do help out as much as they can.
Right.
So,
Yeah. So a bit of work ethic being instilled anyway, right? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, fantastic.
Hopefully, yes.
Right. Yeah. Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. So did we miss anything that you really wanted to touch on with any of the 4 companies again? Like kind of what's next, or what you guys are doing, what you're offering,
there's tons of stuff I could talk about. I could sit here all day and talk about Earth Credit Canada. Really is my baby right now. I'm trying to focus a lot of the energy on that, and trying to bring businesses. We are trying to help local businesses as much as we can. I've read the 800-page document from the government of Canada, and some of the things coming down the line in the environmental sector are very eye-opening, and I would encourage if businesses don't want to read that 800-page document, they could reach out to us, and I could help them through that. There's some very stiff fines
Okay.
coming for businesses. Like if you emit over 10,000 tons, which admittedly are mostly right now manufacturing companies. But if they don't have that in place, the fines for that are significant.
Okay.
They start at $250,000 a day per corporation, and then $50,000 a day for every owner of that corporation.
Oh, wow.
So if you don't have your environmental report done, and that's just what is started. There's other things coming down, so smaller businesses will be affected very shortly, that it's going to become mandatory for every business in Canada.
Okay.
And it's in some of the European countries, it's already mandatory that this environmental assessment is done on your company before you're even allowed to open your business.
Wow.
So in Canada, we don't have that at all. We have this carbon tax, which we could talk about, but I don't agree with a carbon tax, because what has the government done with that money?
Right. Yeah.
They have a great slush fund.
Yeah.
But it's not helping the environment. So if you were to have the businesses have their environmental reports done, they understand what their carbon footprint is, what could be done to mitigate, or change their, maybe instead of doing a processing of something one way, you could just turn it around and help the environment a little bit, but it does overall a good thing for everyone. So
right. Yeah. Yeah. That's great. Yeah. I feel like I'll reserve some of my opinions of what the government has kind of implemented there.
I don't agree with what they've implemented at all. And it's funny because these documents, when I was doing this research, go back to the 80s. So they've been looking at this since the 80s. They've just not done anything about it.
Okay.
And it's very eye-opening, some of the documents that the government has made and put in place. And it's the Liberals that have pushed it through, but really who was the government? It was the Conservative government in the 80s when these documents went through. It was the Conservatives, wasn't it?
It was a Liberal at the time, but Harper pushed an awful lot of stuff through.
Yeah, Harper pushed stuff through, but it wasn't enforced.
It's not a party politic thing. It is a world politic.
Yeah, it's a world politic issue. And
Okay. Yeah.
I could take that conversation off course because I have my own views about that. But
so maybe on that note, I don't know if this is along the same vein at all,
Yeah.
and I'm definitely speaking way out of school here,
Yeah.
but I've also heard concerns of cow farms and owning cows contributing to that carbon footprint.
I'm happy you asked that question, actually. Farms have been unduly attacked in this manner, and there's the actual scientific facts that are coming out on that. The cows actually sequester more carbon than they emit. And farms sequester, just the land itself sequester so much carbon. I can tell you this story about corn. Corn actually sequesters 8 tons per acre. And in the Corn Belt in the United States, it actually generates more air and cleans more air than the whole rainforest during those 55-day growing period in the Bible Belt, in the Corn Belt in the States during corn growing season. So for farms to be unduly attacked, I don't agree with it at all. I think it's been pushed for some reason. We could talk about that again, but off camera.
Yeah,
but
sure.
I think our greatest strength would be to be putting our investments into agriculture and helping farmers. So right now, in Canada, less than 1% of the population. So let's say 0.79% of the population are farmers.
Okay.
So 40 million people, 0.79% of those are farmers. And they're attacking the farmers, the people who grow food for you.
Right.
So
the most essential service one could argue.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Why are you attacking that very small population? And out of that 0.79%, only 3% of that 0.79% are actually earning money. So the other 97% of those farmers are breaking even or going broke farming to grow food for you. And yes, there's industrial farming in Canada, but there's 40 million people. We have to have that as an essential service.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's small farms are not going to grow food for 40 million people.
Right.
And we really need to help our farmers. Farmers are at the top of the mental health list right now in Canada for committing suicide. We're ahead of essential services, ahead of more farmers are committing suicide than army guys and first responders. So it's really is devastating what the government is doing. And every time we turn around, there's a new legislation against farmers. Oh, farmers can't do this. Oh, farmers can't do that. Bill C-297 in the legislature right now is a pandemic preparedness bill. And they want to remove all livestock farming out of Canada. And I'm sorry, but what?
Right. Was there any forethought put into that at all?
It honestly, it was written by a vegan minister, and it's been pushed through because it's a liberal vegan minister that's pushed it through with no thought behind it at all.
Right.
And he has no farming experience. He has no right to be doing what he's doing, in my personal opinion. And I'm sure I'll be attacked for that. But I think farming should be protected by all levels of government. But every time, like Jeff and I, and one of the reasons I started Earth Credit Canada is because we were being and are being attacked in the farming industry. And I really went down and I started doing more and more research. And that's why I went and I did some credentials at the Holland College. I went to into Alberta and I did a course there, and like, what are the real facts of this? And the real facts are farms are better sequesters of carbon than anything else in the world. Right. Well, there's some blue carbon that is like the water sequesters carbon, swamp sequesters carbon, but
yeah, so it's overall a net good either way, right?
It's a net good, but they are going to blame farmers no matter what.
So I've seen, you don't see it a lot on the news around here, but it appears in like France, the UK, there's a lot of farmers who, I guess same thing, are kind of getting their hands tied by the government a little bit and kind of freaking out a little bit. And I'm not trying to get anyone to raise a pitchfork around here, but like, it's like how like that suicide statistic is crazy. When you lay it out like that, it doesn't really surprise me, but I had no idea.
Yeah, so it's really hard. So if you look at a farmer, we have a lot of farm friends, and when you look at it and you see at the end of the day, at the end of the week, at the end of the year, the farmer has no money left, and he's gone into debt because of, last year our fuel bill, just for our farm budget, we were gone. Our farm fuel budget was done by February or March last year because of the carbon tax increases and stuff like that. So
and it's only been more since
it's then. Only been more. It's gosh, it's gone up like crazy. And whenever the governments just put more and more regulations on farmers, or you can't do this, oh, you have to feed that. Oh, we live in Halton. Halton Region came to us with a book this thick and said, we don't want you farming those 5 acres anymore. I'm sorry, but what? Okay. We want a report to you by February. We want to know where the animals are going to be. We don't want you to have this many animals. We want soil samples out of every field, 10 soil samples out of every field every year at a cost of $75 per sample. I'm like, who's going to pay for that? I have to pay for that?
Right.
But for why? Like, what? No, I'm sorry, but like, that's unrealistic and not fair to put that on to a farmer who's already struggling. And so then you have a farmer who's struggling, you get stuff like this from the government or your local municipality, or your regional municipality, and then you get his little boy or his little girl said, Daddy, I want to do dance lessons, or I want to play hockey. And the dad is like, I just don't have the money.
Yeah, can't do it.
I can't do it. Yeah. Like, that puts so much mental stress and mental anguish on the dads that it's really breaking to some people, right?
Right. Yeah. So like the hardest workers in the country, and it just seems like you can't get ahead of doing, right? Like it's
and to keep financially, at a net zero, really, for a farmer, financially, they have to have a 40-hour a week off farm job to run their 100-hour a week job on farm. Right. And you just burn out, and it's hard.
Yeah, eventually something's got to give, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't be redlining the whole time.
Right.
Yeah.
So a lot of Earth Credit Canada, so we can go into your business and do that. But my end goal of this is to have a project where we will pay the farmers to sequester the carbon and give them some financial relief of it. Because farms sequester so much that I want to take, say your business emits 10,000 and you need to offset that. Well, let's pay the farmer to keep farming and to help them.
Right. Beautiful. Yeah. Great way to set that up. Yeah. Nice. Now for us non-farm folk on the outside, is there anything that we can do to kind of help that, or kind of help our local farmer, or is there any way we can pitch in? Or
I think supporting any local farms in the area, there's tons of them. You just have to drive around and find them. I hate talking badly about grocery stores because grocery stores are needed, but I think they are not your best friend for finding local farm fresh fruits and vegetables. And they might offer a cheaper solution for the mass majority, especially if people are struggling financially. But if you can help the farmer out, like, I'm not just our farm. There's tons of other farms that sell meat or vegetables roadside, like helping those guys out. Right. Absolutely. Anybody.
Yeah. Great. Yeah. I don't want to paint a bleak picture here, but I think that the unfortunate reality is people are kind of being squeezed on all ends. Like, that's, I think more people want to go and bargain shop at the grocery store just because economically, like, things are, I think, tough for a lot of people right now.
Yeah, it is. And I get that. Right. Like, I 100% get that. But I have to say, like, the grocery stores aren't the farmer's friends. Right. Like, the grocery stores are not paying the grocery stores are not paying the farmer a fair wage to turn around and triple the or quadruple or the price at the grocery store.
They're getting the biggest profit off it seems like.
And it is. Yeah. It is. And that's not entirely fair to the farmer either. They do import a lot from other countries, which don't have as strict regulations on growing their foods as potentially we do. Yeah, they have cheaper labor. They have cheaper everything. So.
Yeah, well, I think it's something some of us started to see at the big stores recently, probably within the last year or a few months or whatever it was, that you're starting to see things labeled as ungraded meat. Like there was, just, like, I don't know, it's a bit of a scary. Like,
we have some strange rules in Canada about foods. So meat can be shipped up out of Mexico all the way through to the States, slaughtered in Canada, returned to the U.S., packaged in the U.S., and brought in as Canadian beef. As long as it's killed in Canada, it's considered Canadian beef.
What a loophole. That's...
Yeah.
Wow.
So, and then the ungraded meat, who knows where it's coming from. I'm seeing lots of labels from Australia out there. I see lots of labels from... But how are they growing the animals in Australia, shipping either the meat to Canada, or growing the animals on the ships?
Yeah.
Because that's what they do. They have large animal vessels that grow the sheep, that grow cows in like big tankers. I don't know what they're big container ships. And then they arrive in Canada and they slaughter them here. Right. So then it's Australian beef or Australian sheeps, or I'm probably going to be sued by the government about revealing some of these truths, but it's true. And then how is that cheaper?
Right. And coming from the same government that wants to implement this carbon tax on everybody.
Yes. Well, it's the same as...
causing transportation and everything, right?
Absolutely. It's the same as we have our own oil and gas in Canada. We have a deal with the U.S. that we're not allowed to refine our oil and gas in Canada, which is silly. But that is what it is. But then for our government to stop oil and gas, that would lower our carbon footprint in Canada. Right. Right? Like... why? Yeah. We're bringing oil in from Dubai, or we're bringing oil up from the States, that we have our own supply. Let's be self-sufficient. Like, you want to be sustainable? Great. Let's be sustainable.
Yeah, we have everything here.
We have everything here. Why? Right. Like, why? And I get people want strawberries in January and February and March, but maybe we need to go back, and this is terrible, maybe we need to go back 100 years, and when the strawberries are fresh, put them in your freezer. Right. So then you can have fresh strawberries in January, February, March, instead of you have them as frozen, but you at least have your strawberries in January and February and March, as opposed to bringing them up from Guatemala or wherever they're being shipped from, which they need to be sprayed with a chemical. And like, great, you're going to wash it off? I don't think so. But
yeah, definitely, it's lots to think about.
I have so much.
Well, maybe we could do this another time, but just I know you're busy. I don't want to take up too much of your time today. I feel like I could keep talking to you forever about this. Any final thoughts for the day, though? Like, whether related to your businesses or not, if there's just a message you wanted to get out to somebody.
I think shopping local, not just food local, but everything local, instead of, Amazon. Actually, I'm not opposed to Amazon. I use Amazon too, but for certain things. But yeah, just if you want to be sustainable and that's your goal, then stick to your words, and that goes for all levels of government too. Our local in Halton Hills Council buys our streetlights from China. So we have Canadian options, but they chose, how is that sustainable? Right. How is that better for the environment? Yeah. How is that, You're
just trying to poke the bear at all levels of government.
Oh, let's bring it on. Let's bring it on. I've had very long discussions with a lot of our, not just town councils, I've had in our provincial councillor and our federal, Michael Chong, I've spoke to quite a bit too. So.
Sure. Yeah. Well, hey, kudos to you for calling it as you see it and speaking your mind. That's great.
Yeah.
And that's also a great message you're putting out, especially now around the holiday season. If you could help out a small business, do your shopping that way. Yeah,
it's not going to be a game console that your kids want, but if a tiny little toy or a little stocking stuffer from a small business, and if it helps them put their kid in dance lessons or hockey, or the Acton hockey league is closed down now because we just don't have that in our town anymore, and that's sad.
Really? Yeah. Okay, I didn't know that. That's
Acton hockey club's shut down, so all the kids out of Acton have to come into Georgetown for hockey.
Right.
I'm sure the Georgetown kids come into Acton to use the rink.
Right.
But we just don't have that.
Yeah, you almost have to amalgamate to one league, I guess, for like the
which is
Halton Hills, I guess.
Which is shockingly sad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was due to affordability and children being able to afford hockey.
Yeah, it really it's hard when the town increases the rent for the hockey, which I get. It costs more money because the carbon tax has gone up.
Yes. Yeah, well, the price of everything is going up.
Everything is going up.
So harder and harder.
Yeah, and so you have to look at your budget at the end of the day. Everybody has to make that cut. The only one who doesn't make cuts to their budget seem to be any levels of government. So the town, instead of cutting their budget, our town taxes went up 11%. I know I'm going to get in a lot of trouble for this.
Again, if that's the truth, that's the truth, though, right? Like,
it's the truth. And the government, like this GST holiday on our groceries, we already don't pay tax on healthy food or family size food that you buy at the grocery store. So food is 0 rated except junk food and personal sized. So if you bought one slice of pie, you're going to pay tax on it. Buy the whole pie, you don't pay tax on it. Have another piece of pie. Yeah. But it's just silly.
Yeah.
And then he's going to give $250 to every person or every family or whatever it is. It's going to cost us $6 billion. That's just going to cost inflation to go up because it's just the government printing money, right? So that's the root cause of inflation is the government printing money.
When we're already at a massive deficit.
We're at a massive deficit. The largest deficit we've ever had in the entire, if all of our prime ministers put together, added together, our deficit is higher under Trudeau and the amount of spending they've done and their slush funds and their friends they've given money to. And again, I'm not doing this as I shouldn't be political. It's supposed to be about me and my business, but at the end of the day, it hurts everybody,
There's
right?
A reality that's affecting.
Affecting everybody. It affects farmers and it affects you. It affects your food bills. It affects everybody, right? So, which affects my businesses too.
Yeah, well, thanks again for being honest and again calling it as you see it. I think it really starts at the community level. Is we kind of have to start to help each other out, and then
My husband's laughing over there. Maybe we really need to redo this after.
No, not at all. No, I think that was great. Again, you're speaking your mind, and I mean that's beautiful. Thank you so much for sitting down with me today. I appreciate taking time out of your very busy schedule to do so. I think it's incredible what you're doing. It's not as bad as you think. Trust me, you're good.
At the last part, I'd love to say that I was just awarded with the Optimist of the Year, so I won an award for being optimistic. So it's not all doom and gloom.
Right? No, beautiful. Yeah, and I think more people are kind of seeing the reality of kind of what's happening around, and you're quite vocal about it. But I feel like there's a lot of people who don't talk about it as much, but that they would agree with a lot of what you're saying.
Yeah. I probably should. Yeah. I'm so sorry.
No, don't apologize. No, that was great. I enjoyed that. Yeah. So Shanna, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me.